The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome to the very last Warren and Bradley Show, coming at you from Bellingham, Washington. I'm one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the host, Warren Van.
Oh my God, the very last show we're ever going to do, potentially. And of course,
IT guy John seems convinced that Skype is a good option.
I don't know. We'll see about that. The amount of technical difficulties we have when we're both in the same room seems to preclude the idea of actually trying to use Skype. We got in here to record the last episode, and of course, the computer gods just decided to pull their pants down and shit all over us. We were here for about 20, 30 minutes trying to figure out why Warren was not being picked up at all.
Yeah.
And there's all this rigmarole with inputs and cables and cords and settings and
the traditional technical problems we always have.
Yeah, it's fun. But we got it all worked out. We're here. We're queer. We're ready to record the very last episode.
Isn't the parade today?
It is. Actually, it is.
I thought about that.
Bellingham Pride is going on right now.
It's weird that now whenever I see the Bellingham Pride parade, I think of you.
Well, oh, because I got stuck in it once?
You get stuck in it, and because it makes you mad, because it's a parade.
I was fine
so I see these, gay people, prancing about with rainbows and stuff, and then all I think about is your, angry face, looking down on them.
I'm not mad at the gay people. I'm just mad at parades in general. I think everyone knows about my deep-seated hatred for parades.
Yes, it's been well documented.
And I don't know if we've talked about it on the show before. I'm moving my mic all around. Sorry about that. But, yeah, there was one point where, I don't know, it was a couple years ago, the parade was going on. I was, of course, completely unaware, as I usually am about these kinds of things.
Yes.
And was trying to drive around downtown and kept running into roadblocks. It's like, why are all these roadblocks here? What's going on? And then somehow I ended up in the parade. I'm just driving around. There's all these people, hey, waving at me. And I was like, okay.
It concerns me because if the terrorists were to strike a very soft target.
There's not a lot of security here.
No, the gay pride parade in Bellingham would be a very easy target.
I think so. And it's weird that Bellingham is a community that can even support a gay pride parade, not in terms of politics or anything like that, but I just wouldn't think there'd be a big enough population. I mean, plenty of straight people come out to show their support as well.
I don't know what the smallest town in America is that has a gay pride parade.
I don't know.
I assume there must be some smaller than us.
I'm assuming it's not in Nebraska, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do they have a gay pride parade in Omaha?
I don't know.
I assume they have one in Omaha, but they probably don't have one in Lincoln. They probably have one in Lincoln, but they don't have one in Kearney.
We live on the West Coast. We live in the Pacific Northwest. It's a very liberal place. And as much as we're kind of insulated from the rest of the world or the rest of the country, and sometimes we don't realize that most other places in the country do not adhere to the same sort of political ideology that most people do here, I'd actually find it rather odd or shocking if Omaha even had a gay pride parade. I don't know.
Really?
I'd be surprised.
But I think that the thing is, if you're a gay person in Omaha, maybe you feel like, people are stereotyping Omaha. Maybe there are a lot of corn farmers in overalls who are going to throw husks at me. So you're like, I'll show them. And then you get out and march, and it's more defiant.
Maybe.
Than it's here where it's there's nobody's yelling at them.
There's no resistance.
There's no resistance. Yeah. They just close down the streets, let whatever happen. Everyone claps and is so proud and everything.
I, again, had forgotten it was going on today, and I was taking a walk with a friend after I was at the bagelry, and we just kind of happened to wander into the area where it was going on. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's amazing. You have a radar for gay pride parades.
Well, it's kind of hard to miss. It's not like the downtown area in Bellingham is gigantic or megalithic.
No.
But, of course, I was wearing my tight little pants and my tank top,
yes.
So I'm sure that I looked perfectly
And you have your weird diet you're doing, so you are looking stringy and Izzy Popish.
Izzy Popish?
Yeah.
See those veins, Warren?
Yeah. It looks, I don't know,
Look
dude.
at those veins.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, fine. I like veins. I don't know if anyone else does or if women do. Do women look at a man's body and if he's kind of ropey and cut, but do they enjoy the veins?
I don't know.
I don't know if they enjoy the veins.
If there's one thing we've established over the many episodes of the show, we do not understand what women find attractive. We do not understand what makes men attractive.
No.
And I think we're just going to have to end the show without knowing that. Like, we're just going to have to accept their word for it. Huh? Accept defeat. Yeah. I'm going to start giving up. I've been trying to do this for years and figure this out and get like a good read for it. And I just get contradictory information all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm like,
Well, I think that what women find attractive is as varied as snowflakes, Warren, because I think there are some women who would see, look, he's all striated and ropey with veins popping out all over the place. I enjoy that. And then there'd be other women who go,
yeah, it's sickening.
Shudder.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because as I have been, I mean, my body hasn't changed that much because I've always been thin, but there's a little bit more muscle and a little bit more veins going on. And as that happens, I'm like, ooh, veins. And I'm quite pleased by veins.
Yeah.
I don't know why exactly. I just find them... There's a strange... I guess if I could put myself into the body of a woman and look at me through a woman's eyes, I have no idea if I would find the strange vein that pops up on my bicep when I, like, take a drink of coffee. I don't know if I would be, ooh...
I can't imagine how that would be attractive.
I don't know. But I can't imagine being attracted to a man at all. So who knows? What is it about men that they find attractive? Is it the things that are manly, which would be like low body fat, veiny, because that's a testosterone-driven sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So is that built into them somehow? Primitively, they see that and that's a marker? I don't know. Or is it like... I don't know.
Or are they looking at you like, look how sickly he looks?
Well, because if I saw a woman who was all veiny and muscly and striated, I would not find that attractive at all.
And yeah, if she like picked up her can of Coke and the giant vein popped out, nothing appealing about that vein.
I'm getting veins all over my. Well, it's like they're coming from my crotch and extending up into my stomach. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Maybe you want to take it easy with the diet.
I'm totally fine.
If all your veins are popping out, that may be a problem.
Well, they're supposed to be. They're doing. They're working.
That's how your body's supposed to be. That's how the human body's supposed to be.
Well,
with veins on the outside, just dangling around.
If you have no body fat percentage, that's how it's supposed to be.
Maybe a little body fat's okay.
Hopefully, I won't get caught in a famine somewhere or stranded like on a desert island.
Well, that's the thing, right?
I have no.
If something bad happens, you're like, oh crap, I gotta eat. I gotta eat fast. Not how much to burn, and it just burns your muscle, and you just waste away.
Yeah, it's bad when your body starts metabolizing muscle. It's very toxic.
Yeah, don't do that. Let's not get to that point, huh?
Well, I'm well fed right now. I think I'm fine.
I don't want to come back from Wisconsin and just see you walking around like you live in Ethiopia or something.
If you ever come back from Wisconsin. So yes, this is the very last show. It's kind of poignant, kind of sad. We're going to not have a celebrity minute on this episode. I decided that, you know what? It's the last show. The show's rabid fan base was built upon Warren and I just talking to each other about nothing. And I think that's what we're going to do this episode. I think maybe have a Netflix pick, maybe have a Street Freak of the Week.
What are you talking about? You're going to eliminate
the one thing
the one thing that people actually like and then bring in Netflix pick?
Well, I think us being obtuse is kind of a hallmark of the show, so we might as well live up to that.
Tone deaf to the expectations of the audience, I think.
Well, we also put out a heartfelt plea for listener feedback for the very last episode. Yes. It's like, please, this is the last chance you have to ask those burning questions. And our audience responded with an overwhelming amount of apathy. No, we did not get a single question.
No. There was a couple questions about there was one question about when it needs to get in.
Oh,
this was just recently put on the Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, listener Jed was like, when do I add this question in? And then I took off, came to your house, so I didn't have a chance to respond.
Okay, I should have responded to that.
And then I think on Twitter, one of our fans said something about it was sad the show was over.
Yeah, but that's not technically a question.
No.
So I guess fuck you.
Nobody has any questions.
No, I guess we answer everything just throughout the course of the show. We don't leave any ambiguity. Everything that we discuss is very well laid out. There shouldn't be any questions, really, I guess, other than people maybe wanting to get our insight on other issues.
I just had a thought. What if we just, we abandon the show? Mm-hmm. The show's over, but, the Facebook page is still up and stuff, and people it starts catching on.
Yeah.
And what if people start going back being like, this is great. And it like sweeps the nation. And there's like, on Newsweek, it's like, who are these guys? Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden, like the most popular podcast in America. They're like 2 years old.
Well, then there's going to be some weird documentary made like Searching for Sugar Man where they try to track us down.
Yeah.
And you'll be some male exotic dancer in Florida or something somewhere. I don't know what I'll be doing.
Then they have to get us back together, right?
Yeah.
And then hopefully we can work together and somehow monetize it.
Yeah.
Oh, and here comes the train.
Oh, for old time's sake, I think it's time for a train
How long have we been since we did one of these?
I don't know. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We got really fucking sick of it after a while.
This is a train break.
The trains have been coming with much more frequency lately, actually.
Yeah, I guess that's one reason we stopped recording the trains. The frequency of the trains is taking us out.
That was a good train break.
I know you mentioned that the trains have been coming more frequently lately, so
they have.
They're trying to drive us off the air anyways.
They are.
There's some guy pressure washing something out there.
As we've discussed before, Warren and Bradley Studios is not soundproofed in any way, shape, or
No,
form.
and I mean, homeless people defecate a lot, and I assume he could only been pressure washing defecation off of some sort of ramp outside.
Okay, now that we've had random inane chatter and a train break, I think we'll break here.
Let's do 40 minutes of Netflix picks.
Okay.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Sitting at home, bored, alone. You have Netflix streaming, but you don't know what to watch. Well, now you do with Netflix Picks on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Yes. Our very last Netflix picks. We figured since we're going off the air, you're going to need to watch something to fill the horrible void left in your souls.
Yeah, 45 minutes a week where you used to
where once
walk.
resided the Warren and Bradley Show. My first pick, I keep bumping this microphone like a biatch.
Well,
Let's do it one more time. Ugh. There we go. Now, my pick for this week is Archer. Originally aired on FX, I believe is still airing on FX. The fourth season.
how many shows has it been? Still
know.
can't talk.
I can't. Well, there's Netflix and FX. It's confusing me. I think the fourth season just aired on FX, but the first 3 seasons are on Netflix. Let's read the Netflix summary of the show right now. Sophisticated spy Archer may have the coolest gadgets, but he still has issues when it comes to dealing with his boss, who also happens to be his mother, in this wicked animated spoof of spy flicks and the sex-crazed agents who populate them. This is a show that I believe my little brother told me to watch about 2 or 3 years ago when the first episode, when the first series was on, and I went, yeah, whatever. Cartoons. The only cartoons I watch are crazy anime. I never really watch Western cartoons.
Weird, octopuses having sex with young woke girls and stuff like that, right?
Well,
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, recently several other people have just randomly told me that I need to watch the show. So I was like, all right. I saw it on Netflix, started checking it out. I don't know if it's something that's going to grab everybody right away, but if you stick around, the characters are all so twisted. The situations are all somewhat disturbing. There's lots of strange, aberrant sexuality, lots of random, weird violence.
It sounds titillating.
It's quite adult, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's warped and it's funny, filled with all sorts of weird references that are just rapid fire, machine gun fire dialogue. You just have to kind of be there listening the entire time, and you'll pick up all these different things. Probably miss half of the illusions they're making. Made by the same guy, Adam Reed, who did, I think, like some of those Adult Swim shows on Cartoon Network, like C-Lab, something.
I don't remember seeing any of those things. I know they exist, though.
He's a big name in terms of like quirky, weird, adult-centered cartoons.
That's what his mom always hoped he would be. A big name in that market.
But they have 3 seasons on Netflix. I'm about halfway through season 2. It's still quite amusing, and I highly recommend Archer on Netflix. Now, Warren, you have a Netflix pick.
I do. I watched a movie called Existenz.
Existenz.
It has a big X and a big Z in the title. It's a David Cronenberg movie from, I believe, 1999.
Looks like starring Jennifer Jason Leigh, Jude Law, Ian Holm, Willem Dafoe, Don McKellar, and Callum Keith Rennie.
All-star cast.
Yes.
It's about a video game. You like video games.
Yeah, I like some.
But it's about a video game in the future, I think.
Okay.
And it's a virtual reality thing. You start to wonder what's the reality and what's not reality. And it's a David Cronenberg movie, so it has a lot of creepy, weird, like biological things integrated with human beings.
Right.
Which I don't know why every movie has to have that. Why so into that?
Everything from the fly. Everything is always just weird.
It's Videodrome. It's the Naked Lunch.
Yeah.
It's they all have this weird thing. They have to get this bioport in their back, so you have to take this weird tube and put it in their backs and stuff.
Even the poster that I'm seeing here, it looks like Jude Law is firing some sort of strange. Like,
it's a weird gun made out of like biological material, and it shoots teeth.
Okay,
it's very strange. I don't know if I'm really recommending it. I am saying that it was interesting.
Okay. Well, the Netflix summary. Leading virtual reality game designer Allegra Geller is testing a new prototype when an assassin wielding a daunting organic weapon attacks her. She survives the assault but must portal into her own game to get to the bottom of the intrigue. I have never heard of this. Was this in wide release, or was this a very
I don't think it did very well. I hadn't heard of it either. I actually was reading an essay last week about movies, and it came up as some movie about a presentation of virtual reality, or the idea of like an altered reality or something, and I thought it was a good example, the author did, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I've been watching that, and they also mentioned that in that article, Vanilla Sky.
Oh, yes.
Which I just started watching before I came over here.
I've never seen.
Oh, so far it's very awkward. I just can't watch Tom Cruise kiss women. It's so awkward.
I just watched the 2005 War of the Worlds, Steven Spielberg movie.
I watched a little bit of the beginning of that.
That was actually fairly entertaining. It still had kind of the lame ending that you can't really do much about. And spoiler alert, this book was written in 1898 or something, but the aliens all just die from microbial infections that they get from
you can't spoil H.G. Wells.
Well, so Tom Cruise at one point is playing catch with his son.
Yes, I remember that.
My lord.
He throws the ball through the window? Yeah,
if that's a marker of sexual... I mean, this is horribly stereotypical, but he throws like a girl. This weird kind of fake sidearm, strange whippy motion.
Okay, I had the same experience with that movie. Remember, I tried to watch Mission Impossible 2 a while back. I tried to watch War of the Worlds for a while. It's always just Tom Cruise trying to be cool. It never becomes a character.
Well, especially in War of the Worlds, he's supposed to be some dock worker from Jersey.
Yeah. And it's like, I have my like fast car, and I'm like, I do my own thing. You're like, man, you look like some weirdo Scientologist pretending like he's trying to be a cool dock worker. Yeah. He never blends into the character. You know what I mean?
Well, he is Tom Cruise. It's weird how there aren't very many actors like that left where they are just stars. I think they had to have been minted in the 80s. And they're still around. They still survive. They don't play characters. They play themselves in these movies. They're a persona, and that's what he is. And that's
I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger's that way.
Kind of, yeah.
You don't ever be like, now I believe this Arnold Schwarzenegger character. It's just Arnold Schwarzenegger saying lines.
Small town sheriff approaching retirement who for some reason has an Austrian accent. A very heavy Austrian accent.
Yeah, so you're always just like, it's him pretending to be something.
If I were a screenwriter and I was tasked with, creating an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle, I would feel honor or duty bound to create some sort of backstory as to why he had a ridiculous, cartoonish Austrian accent.
But can you imagine that, every movie he's in is always, has some, exposition at the beginning where it's like, oh, yeah, remember, he used to live in Austria for a while. People
one line of dialogue or something, when you used to live in Graz. Yes, I did.
Yes,
okay, there you go. Now it's all explained. Even in fucking Terminator, why would they make a robot and give it a crazy Austrian accent? That never made any sense.
You don't want to get involved in, thinking about the things that happened in Terminator.
That's true.
If you do that, you start being like, none of this makes sense.
No. Man, Jude Law has a lot more hair in this. Just taking a look at the poster there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's lost a lot of hair, hasn't he? It was a long time ago. It was 14 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. 2 picks for you to watch on Netflix. Archer, the crazy, surreal, violent, disturbingly sexual cartoon, and Existenz, the strange, overlooked David Cronenberg movie.
This has been Netflix Picks on the Ward and Bradley Show.
All right, so the last The last episode of the Warren and Bradley Show would not be complete unless I discuss some inane, strange little happenings from throughout my week.
Yeah, we got to get that in.
We haven't recorded in 2 weeks, so I should just be chock full of strange anecdotes.
You'd think so.
You would think, but I have a couple. Yesterday, right off the bat, I was sitting out front of the bagelry. Sounds familiar. Yes. Eating a bagel, drinking some coffee, and I was privy to 2 young gentlemen who had an old Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
And they were trying to get something off the windshield. It looked like maybe they had just purchased the old Mercedes, and someone had like in a sign stuck to the front of the windshield, so there was adhesive all over. One guy had a thing of lighter fluid, like Zippo lighter fluid, and he was spraying it all over the windshield, and the other guy was scraping and rubbing. He had some like paper towels or something they were trying to rub off, and yes, that works. Lighter fluid works, gasoline works, any sort of thing like that, or solvent. But one of them was smoking. And they were spraying a lot of lighter fluid onto this windshield. Yeah. And I just sat there thinking, how long is it going to be until this explodes into a fireball? And I think I guessed maybe like 3 minutes or something. And I even took out my phone and put the stopwatch on and started timing. And I think it was about 2:25. They sprayed another thing of lighter fluid. I think a little cherry dropped off his cigarette, and bam!
Oh, Jesus.
Fireball. Now, lighter fluid burns at a fairly low temperature, and it burns quickly. Yeah. And so usually, even if you had it all over your hand, it's just going to burn up really quick, and it's not going to injure you that badly. One of them had the rag in his hand, and so it leapt to the rag and was on fire. He started screaming at the top of his voice, "Mama! Mama, help!"
No.
Yes, screamed for his mother. The flames went out. Yeah. They both kind of calmed down a second. The one who had been smoking, and not the screamer, looked at his friend and said, "Mama." And the friend looked very embarrassed and ashamed, and then they got into their car and drove away. Now, have you ever, in your life, screamed for your mother?
No.
Neither have I.
Unless, when I was a small child and I was trying to get her attention, I may have yelled, "Mom!"
Yeah, well, yeah.
But not like, now as an adult, if something like exciting or
this is
happens.
this weird thing where, you watch Saving Private Ryan or something, and they're storming the beach at Normandy, and the guy's guts are hanging out, and he's like, "Mama! Mama!"
I know.
And this is some weird literary convention or something where people supposedly scream for their mothers, and granted, I've never been in a foxhole, I've never been to war, but I don't think there's any circumstance that could ever befall me where I would yell for my mother.
Well, maybe those kids that were storming the beach.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
True, but
Mama's
even when
boys.
I was 18.
I think they may have been Mama's boys, some of them.
I don't know. This is very strange.
These weird, like, Italian kids you even hear about nowadays that, don't leave their mom's house until they're in their mid-40s and stuff. And she's always cooking for them and stuff, and they have this weird relationship with her. Maybe they're like those guys, and they bring them in, they ship them out, and they're like, "Mamma mia," But, I don't have that sort of relationship with my mother.
Yeah, so do you think that's what it is? It's the relationship and not just general
It has to be, because that's not like a curse word.
No.
Or it's not like something, like, if I was like, scared, or
but what
I would swear.
What would their mama do?
Yeah, there's something deep-seated and weird about that, isn't there?
I guess it's just weird. I don't have anything like that where if somebody, whoever the person may be, if they were with me, I would gain comfort from that. I don't have anyone like that, I don't think.
Oh, no.
Well, and I don't think, do you? I mean, is there somebody...
Oh, you mean if a rag was on fire?
Well, if you were being tortured or something, or somebody was sawing your leg off with a rusty piece of metal, having someone near you, is there anyone in your life who'd be like, "Oh, now I feel slightly better that you're..."
Because my mama's there?
Yeah.
Or
no, anybody.
I guess not.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that must just be some, like, hard wiring they've got since they were a little kid that they yelled out for Mama when they, like, skinned their knee and stuff.
I guess
he must be really young. Was he young?
The guys who were yelling for... No, they were, like, in their late 20s.
What are these guys doing?
Yeah, one of them
Why are they doing this on the side of the road, anyways?
I don't know.
They should... Yeah, it's weird. They couldn't have waited, like...
My little story that I invented was they went to one of those shitty used car lots, and a 1984 Mercedes coupe, and they bought that, one of those diesel Mercedes from the 80s, and but there's adhesive all over the windshield. What are we going to do? And then the guy who smokes, it's like, well, I have all this Zippo lighter fluid because I have a lighter because I smoke.
Yeah.
And then it just
next thing you know, ball of flames.
Fireball.
Mama can't help you. Whoa, there go the sunglasses.
The other little weird thing, I'll have to show Warren this picture and post this on warrenandbradley.com. The other day I was wandering about and running errands downtown, doing, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And at one point I felt something on my back, and I was like, oh, what is that? And I started brushing at it and picked up this tiny little green grasshopper that was on my back. And I'll show Warren the picture here. Little green grasshopper.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
He's cute. Post that on warrenandbradley.com. I'm like, all right, little grasshopper. Put him down on the ground. Went into the bagelry and was ordering. And at one point, the person taking my order looked distracted and sort of like looked over at my shoulder and pointed.
Yeah.
And I looked down at my shoulder, little green grasshopper on my shoulder.
It's Jiminy Cricket.
Picked up the little green grasshopper, went and put him outside. Got my order, went outside to the table out there, started eating. Picked up my bagel. Little green grasshopper on the bagel. Like, what? What is going on? Take that guy off. Later on, go to the corner. I'm sitting there talking. A friend who I know showed up, and we were chatting. He points to my crotch. Little green grasshopper sitting on my crotch.
They're all the same grasshopper?
This is what I'm trying to figure out. Then I go into my truck, and I'm driving around, look down at my knee, and this is the picture I took.
Yeah.
Little green grasshopper on my knee.
That's weird.
Was it the same grasshopper? Did I somehow did I walk through a nest of grasshoppers somewhere and they were just all over me? I would think if there were tons of grasshoppers on me, I would notice. If there were several crawling on me at once, it wasn't like I was wearing some fur coat or something that they could hide in.
You must have had some sort of grasshopper pheromone on you or something.
Maybe.
I was trying to mate with you, probably.
I don't know.
It's like when you wear, like, an orange coat and those butterflies are like mating and they are all orange, so they start like jumping on top of you.
Is that what happens?
Yes, that's what happens.
I don't think I've ever experienced that before.
So that's what I think that was going on. You must have for some reason replicated the kind of like mating scent of this particular grasshopper, and he was really like not going to be denied.
That could be a superpower.
I don't know how it could ever assist you. The only thing it could possibly do is, let's say you were trying to cripple your enemy's like food supply.
Yeah.
So you're like, how are we going to wipe out their fields of corn and wheat?
Right.
And like bring in the superhero. And you would like come in and just like rub around and stuff. And then like they'd all got off and started eating, and then you wipe out their crops.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're not locusts. So who knows?
Grasshoppers still eat stuff
and in
like
some
that.
parts of the world, people eat grasshoppers. So maybe their grain being replaced by grasshoppers would actually be.
I eat those
thing.
grasshopper cookies.
Oh, yeah, I've had some before.
Oh, I believe you.
I don't think they actually contain any grasshoppers.
No. Have you ever eaten an insect before?
Yeah.
What'd you have?
I've eaten a worm. I've eaten a beetle, a slug, I think a spider.
Wait, were these like being served to you, or were you just like picking these up off the street and eating them?
These were when I was a little kid, and my brother would try to get me to eat insects.
But we didn't try. Apparently, you succeeded. It sounds like to me.
Yeah, for the
you
most
just
part.
eat all these insects?
And some of it was also like dares. Look, I'm going to eat this bug, and then go, yeah, like girls, impressing girls when you're a little kid.
Yeah,
they're very impressed by that. Veins popping out all over the place, and eating gross
insects.
Bugs. Yeah,
wow,
that's how you attract the ladies.
You wouldn't think it would work.
All right. So, Warren, I'm sure you've probably heard this story, and I'm sure most of our listeners probably have as well. But recently, in Brazil, at an amateur soccer game, a referee was killed, drawn and quartered, and his head was removed and placed upon a spike in the middle of the field. The
part of the story that needs to be reported, to be fair, is that the referee did stab to death the player.
Yes, he did.
Before they did this.
Okay, well, let's get into the story here.
This story, the girlfriend brought this up to me the other day. I said, as I usually do, I was like, this is not a real story.
Yeah. And
apparently it's a real story.
Well, the match, which took place on June 30th at Pius XII Stadium in Maranhão, northeastern Brazil, devolved into violence when the 20-year-old referee Otávio Jordão da Silva expelled player Josemir Santos Abreu, 31, from an amateur match. Angered by the expulsion, Abreu threw Silva to the ground. So he did attack him, to be fair.
Yes.
And of course, the ref, knowing that he was a soccer ref in Brazil, was armed with a knife of some sort.
Maybe just being a person that lived in Brazil.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Took the knife out, stabbed him in the chest. They took him to the hospital, and I guess what happened is while he was en route to the hospital, he died. Somebody called friends and family member who were still at the match, told them that he had died. They were understandably upset, and understandably, attacked the referee, chopped his arms and legs off, chopped his head off, and put it on a spike in the middle of the field.
It's interesting, the levels of like inappropriate behavior, how that escalates, right?
Yeah.
You are never supposed to touch an official in a sporting event.
No.
Much less tackle them out on the ground.
Yeah.
Unacceptable behavior.
Isn't the
But you're
World
not
Cup
supposed
going to be in Brazil?
Yes, you're not supposed to stab someone in the heart.
No.
Unacceptable behavior, but that's killing. You can't go much beyond that. But you can rip somebody apart and put their head on a stake.
Well, what I want to know, for one thing, is how determined of an attack was it by the player, by Abrow? Was he trying to beat the shit out of the referee? Was the referee really acting in self-defense, or did he escalate much further than it needed to be escalated? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Also, the beheading is still kind of up in the air. Local news agencies were reporting that he was beheaded. Other people are saying they don't know for sure.
Putting the head on a stake.
I actually saw
crazy.
video of the body in the morgue as they were preparing the body, and it was
really?
horribly disturbing. His legs were hacked off at the knees, still sort of hanging by threads of flesh. It looked like, apparently it was a sickle was used. Jesus. I know when you go to a soccer game, you should always take your
bring a
sickle
sickle and a
with you.
knife, too.
And his head, I couldn't tell if they had just like placed the head back on the torso while it was sitting on the gurney, because it looked as though maybe there had been a wound to the neck, like it was hanging off. I couldn't tell.
Jesus.
It was sick. How...
World Cup 2014, get your tickets now.
Oh my God. And, Brazilian police are saying this is an isolated incident. But we all remember, of course, the soccer player in the 1994 World Cup who accidentally knocked the ball in to his own goal and was shot later when he returned to Brazil.
Yes. No, that wasn't Brazil.
I thought that was Brazil.
Colombian.
Oh, he was Colombian.
It
was in Medellin. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a soccer team that was tied to the Medellin cartel and stuff.
Right.
And they were actually sort of overachieving, and people really got behind them, and he made that mistake. And then,
What is with soccer? What the fuck is this?
I don't think if it's necessarily what's with soccer so much as it's what's with the third world.
Well, how many crazy violent riots and disturbing beatings happen in Europe at soccer matches?
Less than before.
How many happen in American sporting
I don't know.
events?
Yeah, it's weird.
Americans are supposedly the most violent, crazy, gun-crazy weirdos in the world. We very rarely rip people into shreds and put their heads on spikes in the middle of
We have a much
sporting
different
field.
relationship to our sports than they do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just the cultural nature of these other countries, or if it's so much the fact that we have a variety of different sports that we pour our passions into, so we don't get completely obsessed with this one sport, especially in the World Cup, when it happens once every 4 years, the one sport that matters to everybody, and then people just get revved up.
And it's so god-awful fucking boring.
Oh, really? I'm getting into it. I love it. I'll be watching a lot of the World Cup. I watched the Confederations Cup recently. It was very exciting.
So, rest of the world, knock it off. We're sick of this shit.
Yeah, whatever's going on with you people, you need to relax.
What are you up to talk about, Warren? What'd you do for the 4th? It's been 2 weeks since we've been together.
I did nothing for the 4th. I did go out and get some breakfast this morning. Mm-hmm. Had a lovely time. Sat outside. Held the nephew for a while. He seemed pretty happy. Didn't cry or anything, so I fell asleep.
What was his name again?
Hudson.
Oh, yes, Hudson.
Then I did a discussion about how the show's ending with some of my family members.
I know that your brother-in-law is
Brother-in-law listens. Brother-in-law apparently playing a little Minecraft.
Oh, really?
That's what my sister said.
Is he getting into it?
He's getting into it a little bit. And apparently they also watched YouTube videos that you had made.
Oh, yeah. He's commented on several of
has
YouTube
he?
videos. Yeah.
Okay, because he mentioned a scenario where you had been looking for horses for a long time.
Yes.
And I guess it went on forever and ever. You're just looking for horses, and you found some horses, and you had pulled them up on a rope or something, and then you had accidentally killed the horses.
Yes.
And you sounded like you had killed your own family member. And he said he was laughing so hard he was crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. A tragic scenario, apparently. You're trying to find these horses for so long.
It was devastating. And apparently that was, my misfortune was the most popular episode I've ever posted of the Bradcraft Show, which is my Minecraft Let's Play series, for those of you who don't know. I got several text messages, several comments where people were like, that was hilarious. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
But you were actually sad when it happened, right?
Well, I mean, I was angry.
Yeah.
I wasn't crying or anything, but yeah, it had been a very long journey. There was a new update for Minecraft. They had inserted horses into the game, and I've been looking forever for some horses, and I finally found two measly horses, and then I went on this very long, involved journey trying to bring them back to my home. And
you had to like rustle them and stuff?
Yeah, I had them tied to the little leads and stuff, and I was dragging them along. Yeah, and they died horribly. I guess there's a glitch where they can I don't know.
You're blaming this on a glitch?
From the research I've done, apparently it was a glitch, yeah.
Oh, I thought you just accidentally chopped the rope and they'd fall into their death.
No, because it wasn't high enough to actually kill them, but there's some weird glitch where if you're up 7 blocks, I don't know, it's crazy.
They'll kill a horse?
They still have a problem if you have a horse next to a wall. Sometimes it'll just get sucked into the wall and go like, and die. And
that'll happen.
That sucks. But yeah.
Oh, man, it's good that doesn't happen on the farm. That's terrifying.
It was sad, but people seem to really enjoy me being angry and upset.
Oh,
about my horses
they thought
dying.
it was great. Yeah. They couldn't.
I think if I want my YouTube channel to be popular, it's just going to have to be one mishap after another and me getting really angry and swearing. IT Guy John sent me a very long, involved text message string about how much he enjoyed that episode and how I needed to promote it more, and
Well, IT Guy John, of course, is a proponent of us continuing the podcast.
He is.
He thinks the technology is at the point where we can actually do this podcast.
We have the technology. I don't know. Skype, I have been burned by Skype so many times. It might be possible that if you have a good enough connection and I have a good enough connection, it's possible.
But I think we both had the same sort of experience with Skype. My experience with Skype is listening to podcasts of people using Skype. To people just talking over each other, and I'm like, I can't listen to this. This is really awkward.
Yeah.
And also, my girlfriend uses Skype sometimes, and her just sitting there being like, it's disconnected again. It's what's happened. It's disconnected. Then, a picture will come up of somebody, but they'll be, frozen, and their voice will be coming out. And then it will,
And I would want to do video as well because so much of the show is based on our interplay.
Yeah, we have to see what we're doing. Yeah.
But we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. If
we should, I think we'll try it. Maybe we'll try some sort of test or something. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how that goes.
Don't unsubscribe from the show if you're subscribed.
Right. That's one thing I wanted to impress upon people before the show ends, before this episode ends, is that you should still check back at warrenandbradley.com. You should still check the Facebook page. Don't unsubscribe, because even if we don't have a weekly show, I'm sure we'll still post some little things every once in a while. When
the show starts to pick up popularity and stuff, you're going to want to be
when the public will
part
demand
of it.
Yeah,
you're going to be like, I was one of the ones, the originals.
So stay tuned for that.
So the other day, I walked in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I noticed my girlfriend's corn checks were on the counter.
Oh.
And the back was facing me, and there was a heart shape of corn checks and some text in the middle. And I was like, what's this about? And it was a couple of letters from people who had apparently written to Corn Checks or General Mills to praise the product. Just went on at length about how great it was. And I thought this was very funny. Yeah. Because I was like, I can't imagine, even if I enjoyed a cereal a lot, I can't imagine actually sitting down and taking pen to paper and writing to an entity, a very large entity,
right? And
being praising this product.
There's no Mr. Checks who makes.
No, there's no one there that invented it.
But can you imagine yourself being an 84-year-old retired man who has absolutely nothing to do with his time?
Well, this is interesting you bring that up, because I pointed this out to the girlfriend. I was like, look at this. Isn't this ridiculous? She's like, well, I've called General Mills before. And I was like, did you? And she's like, yes. Years ago, as a child, she had looked at many boxes of cereal and compared the nutritional information on them.
Right.
And she found that I think the Corn Checks was the most nutritious by her standards. So she had called General Mills to thank them. Huh. And it's weird to be that receptionist too, right? Or the person that's taking that call. Yeah. Because what is that? That call means nothing.
Well, they go to the CEO of General Mills or whoever the fuck.
Some child called and said your cereal is more nutritious than others based on the amount of riboflavin or something.
That's why I get up every morning.
Exactly.
I had a brief period as a child when I discovered that if you complained to manufacturers, they would send you free shit.
Yeah.
Because I think I got a Twix bar or something once that was all fucked up. There was no caramel in it, and there was just this weird,
quality control problem.
It was all fucked up. Yeah. And so, as a child, for me to scrape the money together to buy a Twix...
It's a bigger purchase now than it was then.
Exactly.
I mean, then it was
now. And so I was horribly disappointed by my fucked up Twix bar. And so I called the number on the back, and I don't know how old I was, 10 or something. It was like, my Twix bar wasn't good. It was gross.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, we're sorry about that. And then they sent me a Twix bar in the mail.
Just one?
Yeah. It was just
That's
one.
That's weird. Well, I know that we had a friend when we were in elementary school who was kind of a shyster.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy, and he was really into doing this. And I know his thing was he had... called David sunflower seeds and claimed there was a live worm in his sunflower seeds. And they had sent him a lot of sunflower seeds. So he's like, you should do it. You should do it. And I think he had started doing this for a lot of products and just getting them sent to him. So that's usually what happens, right?
Yeah.
They call and complain. They send you a bunch of the stuff to keep you keep you as a customer and to shut you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I guess I could do that.
As a 10-year-old, it was amusing for a while because I was just shocked that people would send you free shit in the mail. But I can't imagine being an adult and taking the time to bother with that. I mean, I don't send food back in restaurants. I don't usually complain about it.
No, I don't complain. That's the weird thing, too. And it's like... But it's also like to get these like rather relatively inexpensive consumer products. Mm-hmm. I don't need to commit fraud.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you can just. I guess you can just go out and purchase them if you need them that badly.
$1.99 for a bag of David sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
I prefer rice checks, by the way.
Oh, so do I. Well, interesting you bring this up. It was last night. I went to the grocery store. I was walking down the aisle as I'm wont to do, and I noticed the rice checks were on sale. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll get me some of those. And I had some rice checks last night, and they were great.
I haven't had cereal in quite some time.
It's good. I don't ever eat it anymore.
As a child, I always ate cereal. I
eat it constantly as a child.
Yeah.
And I never eat it now, maybe once or twice a year. And I'll be like, oh, I should get cereal. And I'll be like, this is great.
There's a brief period where I was buying muesli because I had been watching Flight of the Conchords, and Jermaine was always eating muesli. It's like, oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. And so then I went and bought some muesli.
Have you ever had any Vegemite?
Yeah.
You have had it?
Yeah.
Was it awful?
Yeah.
Does it just taste like yeast or something?
It's bittery, molassesy, weird. It's not good.
Yeah. So it's like probably something you have to eat when you're a kid to like it, right?
I would assume you have to be acclimated to it from an early age. There's actually, in some of our local supermarkets, you can go, they'll have an international aisle, and they'll have things like, they'll have their little British section where there's like HP brown sauce and, spotted dick and shit like that you can get. And I think there was even a little Australian section where they had stuff like Vegemite. And,
the expats can go and get their stuff.
And what was that other stuff? Nutella, which is that weird spread.
Oh, yeah, I ate a bunch of that stuff when I was overseas. I know the girlfriend used to actually live in England. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I was reading something the other day, and they're talking about how there's no peanut butter anywhere else but here. And I was like, they don't eat peanut butter everywhere else? And she's like, no, it's a very American thing to eat peanut butter. And apparently you could go in London to like the fancy American store and pay like a high premium for peanut butter.
Well, it's funny.
Everyone else thinks it's gross, apparently.
I had that's a weird thing. There's several products. Dr. Pepper internationally is often considered disgusting. People think it tastes like prunes.
Oh.
It's weird. Apparently Japanese people hate Dr. Pepper. And they think it's the weirdest thing in the world. But anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, the peanut butter. I had an Austrian house guest once, and she was talking about the American store that she would go to in Graz, Austria, where they would get insanely overpriced Reese's peanut butter cups. And it was the biggest treat in the world to get these Reese's peanut butter cups, and she would just be like, oh, that's so good. And this is Austria, where they have some of the most amazing chocolate in the world. But she was obsessed with Reese's peanut butter cups.
That is strange.
We'd go into the convenience store, and she'd be like, and start clapping, and she would get her little Reese's peanut butter cup. She's like, it's only $1. And she would buy it, and just, it was interesting.
It's the little things like that. Yeah. I know when I was in England, I like Starburst. I'll eat a little Starburst once in a while. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's a new flavor of Starburst out, a very berry set of Starburst. It was very delightful. I had some the other day. But their standard Starburst there have a different array of flavors than we have here.
Right.
Including like currant.
Currant?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Currant is one of the flavors. I think they're great. They're delightful.
Really?
If I could go to the like England store and buy some of those, I would go get them right now. You can't get them anywhere else. You can't get them.
I was really obsessed with having munchies.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to the Ricky Gervais podcast, and Carl Pilkington would talk about munchies all the time.
Yeah.
What the fuck are munchies? And so I looked them up. There's actually a Frito-Lay munchie in America, but that's like a snack mix. Mm-hmm. In England, it's made by Nestle, and it's some just like biscuit and caramel and chocolate. It's almost like a Twix kind of, but not quite. And so I actually I ordered a munchie online.
Really?
It wasn't very good.
No. A lot of that stuff is just stuff you had since you were little, so you think they're good. That's why they're good to you, right?
Well, it's like me with... I love the little mini Reese's peanut butter cups, where the chocolate is basically this weird, chalky, powdered shit.
So is the peanut butter.
The peanut butter, too. It doesn't really taste like chocolate or like peanut butter, but I love them.
It's like some weird powder reconstituted, like chocolate peanut butter thing.
I was obsessed with the taste purple as a kid.
Yes.
I didn't realize that it was supposed to be grape because it doesn't taste like grape.
No, grapes don't actually taste like that.
It tastes like purple, so that's what I called it.
Grape gum. I was always like really into it. I really love that flavor, But it's just it's a construct, right? And if you like went out now and had some sort of like gum or candy that was labeled grape, you took it out and it was green or something. You're like, green? Why isn't this purple? And you ate it and it actually was flavored, tastes like a grape. You'd be like, what is this thing, right? You'd probably spit it out. Yeah, because it doesn't taste like grape. Yeah. It's all about what you're adjusted to.
That's like the inner city African Americans who drink their orange drink or their purple drink.
I wasn't going to bring that up, although I did think about that there's the grape soda stereotype too. Yeah.
And it does not taste like grape. It tastes like purple.
Yeah. That's
like
delightful, though.
All right. Let's have one more segment, and then we're going to call it a show and a career.
Oh, no.
Okay, so there's something that's been annoying me lately.
Yeah.
And let me just preface this by saying that I'm going to describe a physical irritation that's been going on, and I'm in no way trying to ascribe a certain physical prowess to myself in any way, shape, or form. But recently, it's been hot.
I'm glad we're closing the show with one of these. I complain against other people where you talk about how you're better than them.
No.
Let's do it.
No. It has nothing to do with that. You're way off the mark.
Okay.
It's been very hot lately, and I've been working outside, and you get sweaty. And what happens when you get sweaty is that your clothes, they start to chafe, they start to shift around. And what's been going on is that I'm constantly crouching, getting up off the ground, getting down onto the ground, getting on my knees. I'm moving all over the place. Yeah, you know. I'm a high-priced male prostitute. But
low-priced, you're outside.
Well, I guess, yeah. In alleyways. But what's been going on is that my penis is constantly getting in my way. And it's because... that's why I had to preface this.
Here we go.
I had to preface this the way I did. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's hot, and so things are hanging a little looser than they normally would. My underwear gets all sweaty and stretched out, so it's not giving the support that it should be.
Okay.
And my pants get all sweaty and stretched out, so they're shifting all over the place. So basically, anytime I crouch down, I have to physically grab myself, shift it out of the way of my legs, and then crouch. Otherwise, it gets caught in between things.
You have to use both hands because it's just so big. And
there's a little heft going on there. Yeah. So I was just thinking about this. Women have breasts. I'm assuming those can get in the way sometimes. Well, some women
do. Yeah.
But I can't think of anything more obtrusive than a penis. Walking around with this thing dangling between your legs. When you're trying to do a physical activity, I'm sitting on it all the time. I'm getting it caught between my thighs constantly. It's horribly irritating.
I'll say menstruation.
well, yeah. Okay, you won. Never mind.
That would be horrible, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Oh, fuck no. Well, okay. Have you experienced this? Is this irritating to you?
I mean, occasionally...
Because you sweat a lot.
I sweat a lot, but... Occasionally, usually everything's just, I don't even think about it down there, and just like slots into the space where it's supposed to be, and it's fine.
Okay.
Occasionally, like I dress to the left.
Slot where it goes?
It's just there. Okay. It's just like in the spot where it's not.
Warren's touching his
Then
penis.
Occasionally, it'll like get shifted in a weird way. Mm-hmm. And I'll become conscious of it being in a weird direction.
It's like when a dog's ear gets turned inside out.
Yeah, it has. Then you're like, ugh, and then I'm like kind of like shifting around, Yeah. And then I kind of like, I got it, and I go to the bathroom and kind of like shake it out, and try to get it to like go back to reset to be in like a place where I don't notice it anymore.
Right. Well, because they talk about, do you dress to the right or the left? There's normally a side that it likes to hang out in, and that feels comfortable. And in polite company, you don't want to be shifting your penis around in front of people to get it to lay in a more comfortable position. No. When I'm at work, I don't care, but it feels like I'm fondling myself the entire day when I'm at work. But yeah, there's been times, usually I wear pants tight enough when I'm not working that it just keeps it right where it's supposed to be at all times.
Yeah.
But then, from that, I was thinking about, I can't remember what I was looking at. There was some survey or something where it was asking all these weird questions, and then it asked, are you able to perform oral sex on yourself? And I was trying to think of like, I mean,
what the fuck survey you're taking?
It was something on something on Facebook that somebody had linked to or something. I don't know. It was something weird. And I was just wondering how many people could answer yes to that.
Wasn't that the thing that, is it Marilyn Manson and Trent Reznor are supposed to have had their ribs removed so that they could do that to themselves? Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah, one of those urban myths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess people can do that.
I'm assuming there must be a few people who can. But this is why I brought this up, because I wanted to ask this question to you.
Yeah.
If you were flexible enough to perform oral sex upon yourself, I mean, I'm assuming you masturbate.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. It's possible. It may have happened once or twice.
Sure you do.
During my youth.
So you don't have any problem with that. Would you have a problem putting your mouth on your own penis and filleting yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about it.
Yeah.
The thing about everything like this. It's just not necessarily the fact that you have like a mouth on your penis. It's who the mouth is attached to.
Right.
So it's like...
But you have no problem using your hand.
This is the thing. There's not like my mouth is any better object for doing that than some sort of like gooey rag or something. It doesn't have any teeth in the gooey rag. You know what I mean?
But
do you understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I've never filleted a penis, but I'm assuming that you can make sure the teeth don't get in the way.
Well, you can make sure. Yeah, you can. You can do things like that. But it's like
suction aspect that goes on.
But you can create suction with like some sort of suction thing.
Can you create a seal with a rag in your hand?
But I mean, you could do. There's all sorts of things you can do with your hand.
Yeah.
My hands are much more. I have much more dexterity in my hands than I do in my mouth. Right. So any sort of like sensation I can create with my mouth, I can create with my hand.
Oh, really? So if you're performing oral sex on a woman, can you just use your finger instead?
I gotta say I probably could. I have that
much dexterity.
That much dexterity, that fine of a touch.
I'm imagining you making a little mouth with your thumb and forefinger and just like rubbing it on some girl, and they're like, "Could you stop that, please?"
This is the thing. Do you think that if you put some sort of like artificial tongue on your thumb
or something,
right?
Yeah.
And then this woman couldn't see what you were doing, and she thought you had your head down there, and then you did it with your little thumb thing. Do you think she'd notice?
I think she probably would. Well, especially looking at your thumb, I suppose.
Yeah, I got a dick-sized thumb, but
it's probably bigger than your dick.
But I mean, isn't the fact that it's like? I don't think it's... This is the thing about the sex, though. It's not the actual thing that's going on. It's, like, the idea of what's happening and the person it's with.
Yeah.
The actual, like, physical, like, notion of having something warm rub against that area.
Well, and you're right. I mean, if some man were to try to fillet me, I would... Just because, it's a mouth, that feels good. That would not be the case.
No, exactly.
I would not want that to happen because of who was doing it. But what I'm asking is the fact that you're doing it, even though you do masturbate.
The fact that you're doing it just means it's just masturbation.
It is. But is it gross to do it with your mouth but not your hand?
Yeah, it's gross.
Why?
Because it's a weird thing to do. Because everyone's not... You know what I mean?
But if it were
everyone's
common...
masturbating. Yeah. If it were common...
If everyone were...
If everyone had the little rib removed, and we were all like Trent Reznor, and that's just a thing that people did, it would be less weird, yeah, and but... It is weird now to do that.
Okay, so if it weren't common, but you just woke up one day and your like face was in your crotch, you had just like gotten that way somehow when you were sleeping, and you were like, "Wow, I can reach my penis."
I wouldn't know.
Do you think you would ever just once try it out to see what happened? I mean, you would know what would happen, but just to see like how it felt.
I know. It's like crossing some sort of boundary there and doing something weird to yourself.
I don't know.
Would you do this?
I think I'd probably try it. I don't think I'd make a habit out of it. That'd be hard to explain. It's one thing when you're like 15, you're in the bathroom and you forgot to lock it and your mom opens, I'm in here. But if you're bent double into a pretzel shape and your mouth is full,
Yeah. I might give it a little try, but I don't think I'd make a habit of it.
Then there's the denouement. I don't know how.
Well, that's good. Then no.
Yeah, that's kind of gross.
That's really gross.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't do that all the way to there.
No. Well, then you're just teasing yourself. Cock tease.
Well, now you're having sex with yourself rather than masturbating at this point. If you're like getting angry with yourself and like your dick's like wagging at you and like calling you a cock tease.
I actually heard some guy discussing with his friend whether or not they could put their penis in their own ass. That's another thing where I would just think the effort required to accomplish this would far outweigh any perceived pleasure you may gain.
But how could that be pleasurable?
I don't know. I guess you're getting the double whammy.
The other thing, but this is what I'll say the same thing about that as I said about the other thing.
Yeah.
If you just warm up two like hot dog buns and put them together right, and put your penis in there, you're going to have a somewhat similar sensation.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of rubbing your butt on some hot girl's butt that makes it erotic.
What are you doing?
Rubbing your dick on some hot girl's butt that makes it great.
I'm imagining you with your girlfriend, like, it's time to have sex now, girlfriend. Like, okay. You pull your pants out and just start rubbing your ass on her ass. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
But that's what I'm saying. That's the
we
part.
went to a Christian school. We never had any sex education.
That's the part that is the neat part about it. Not the fact that, look, my penis is sort of in a butt. Even if it's my own. But there's nothing erotic about that.
I think the draw of that would be that you're getting the butt sensation and the penis sensation at the same time.
Oh, you mean you're getting the sensation of having something in your butt?
You're having sex and you're having sex had with, or you're being, yeah.
Oh, it's like you're involved in you're like the middle in some sort of threesome sandwich thing.
Yeah.
But you're just by yourself, writhing around on the floor, going, ooh, ooh. And then your mom walks in and sends you to military school or something.
Oh, don't send him to military. So there's going to be a lot of penis and ass action going on there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If you go to those public schools in England, right, that's all that's going on.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure someone's done that before, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the conversation I overheard, and not saying anything, but it was while I was walking through the Gay Pride Parade. I'm assuming it sounded as though the person who was discussing it had actually succeeded in doing this to themselves.
Well, they weren't joking. They were literally talking about it as if something that we might all want to explore.
Yeah.
They're having a serious conversation about sticking their dick in their own butt.
He was telling his friend about it, and his friend didn't believe him.
No, because it's bullshit.
You're going to go home and
try. You wouldn't try. In the first place, why?
Yeah.
In the second place, I don't think the mechanics are going to work.
It doesn't bend in half, as far as I know.
No.
It would kind of have to.
And
that's the thing. To get it to actually go in, it would have to be erect, but it's not going to bend when it's erect.
It's not going to bend back on itself when it's erect. You're going to do that thing where you damage it, and the blood's going to flow out, and you're going to damage yourself and being horrible.
Those horrible stories.
Yeah.
Having sex too vigorously, and it just goes...
Yeah, exactly. And I'm telling you right now, people, I know there may be a lot of listeners who are like thinking this may be what you want to do to explore your sexuality. Just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. You know what I mean? You're going to get there and be like, this is what I did this for, and then, ow! And then you're going to be in the emergency room. You're going to have to come up with some story to tell the doctor about what happened, and he's just going to picture you on like a bearskin rug, going, ooh, ooh, having sex with your own ass. Take a pass.
All right. Well, I think we've wrapped up every loose end here on the Warren and Bradley Show. Thank you all for putting up with us for as long as you have. Like we said, check back every once in a while. Check back on warrenandbradley.com. Look on the Facebook page every once in a while. And we might have some surprises for you in the future.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll send some pictures in for my trip across country.
So we'll never say never, but for the foreseeable future, this has been Bradley Victor.
This has been Warren Van.
Saying...
check back on the website occasionally.
I should say something about fucking your own ass.
Don't fuck your own ass, you losers. I love you.
I do too.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.